Today, I am joined by someone who's become known as your internet real estate bestie, and that's Laressa. Laressa has built a brand around helping agents simplify their marketing using Canva, Notion, and smart content systems that actually convert. And in this interview, she's going to share her top 3 killer Canva tactics that every agent can use to instantly up level their brand and start standing out online from the rest of them. She's also a partner here at EXP in the Wolfpack, which means she's not just teaching marketing, she's living it inside of one of the fastest growing real estate communities in the world. And listen, if you're watching this and you know your marketing isn't where it should be, and you're tired of guessing of what content you should be posting, well, don't wait. Laressa and I work together directly with agents to put the right systems in place and help you consistently close over $100,000 in GCI per year. So before we dive in, hit the link in the description to book a free private Zoom call with us, and we'll talk you through exactly how you get your business back on track. But without further ado, let's get right into the interview. What's up, you guys? So today I'm joined by the one, the only, the real estate bestie, Laressa. She's also Canva Ninja. But before we jump into all the tactical stuff, Laressa, why don't you just go ahead and give everybody a quick snapshot of your story and how you got to where you got to and who you are.
All right. Well, thank you so much, first and foremost, for having me on. I'm super excited and stoked to be here. Very honored. Thank you so much, Alex.
So stoked to have you.
Thank you. To kind of give you the spiel, the whole rundown. Well, I have been in real estate, I guess you could say 6 years now. So I got licensed in right before the worldwide panini press, pandemic. So I got licensed right before that. And obviously, with us not being able to be face to face with people, we had to have some unique strategies as to how to get face to face in front of clients. And so I got my license around the end or probably August of 2020 here. And then I joined EXP right away
Yeah.
because I needed global exposure and I needed access to people who had ideas as to how we could survive this next 3 to 5 years, right? So that's kind of how that happened. And the funny thing is, I started out my first year in the company doing production. So I did maybe 5 deals or so. And that was just because I was a young agent, a
Mhm.
young broke agent that didn't have, any really budget behind marketing. So I had to get savvy with the technology. And so I put myself on YouTube and on Instagram. And so doing that as a new young agent, that allowed me to kind of put myself out there without, being face to face with people. And that just allowed me to have a platform to create, you know, competency. So as a young agent, some people, they're kind of on the fence, like, what do you know about real estate? So I was like, let me show you, which I did. And funny enough, because I was putting out real estate content, obviously for the purpose of attracting buyers and sellers, funny enough, alternatively, on the back end of things, I was having other real estate agents asking me how I was doing and creating my content. And I was like, Canva, duh, are you
Yeah.
not doing that?
Mhm.
And so the funny thing is, right now I have a channel that I've just hit 15,000 subs on,
Woot woot.
where I teach real estate agents about Canva and marketing, creating a content, personal branding, all that stuff. And the funny thing about that was that I never got into real estate to be where I am today. So it's just funny how life, the universe, God, how everything works to push you in a certain direction.
Yeah.
So I'm here now not because essentially I wanted to, but because I made use of, other people kind of, seeding their ideas into me because they were like, why don't you just create a separate channel, teach agents about how they could use Canva and how they can be resourceful to create their own content. And that's what I did, and that's what I've been doing the last 3 to 5 years, and here we are now, honestly.
Wow, that's so awesome. Being able to use, I mean, Canva has a free section, right? So you can use that free section with your content and then the paid even takes it up. But I think EXP gives us a free pro subscription, right?
Yes, yes, we do. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because in the beginning, everybody was like, Canva, like what is that going to do? But the funny thing is, I started using Canva before I even got into real estate. So
Hmm.
I started using Canva at a previous job, because they were doing, I worked for, before I got into real estate, I was working at a community facility. And this is where in my town here, this facility had both a public gym, a field house, and then on the other side we had like a public library and then a banquet hall. So this is where we would have events and weddings. But point is, I learned Canva from there. So that was probably 2018, 2019. So that's where I got introduced to Canva. But Canva back then, like 5, 6 years ago, is nothing compared to the Canva we know today,
Right.
which is really powered by AI, by all these other integrations, third-party tools. And it's crazy to me now that, when I joined this company, we were only at 30,000 agents, and now we're at like 90,000, pushing almost 100K
Yeah.
agents. And it's so crazy to me that before, I started using Canva, I'm using Canva, and then all of a sudden, EXP was like, no, we got Canva for free, y'all. And I was like,
Like,
that
yo.
that's insane because you really honestly have to be using the paid version of Canva to really get the full power of Canva. And it's just so exciting that with our company, they understand that the agent is the brand, which gives
Hmm.
us as agents the autonomy to, create our personal logos, our brand colors, our brand essence. So we have that creativity, right? And it's just so cool, honestly.
Yeah. Well, let's see this. So you mentioned the full power of Canvas in the paid version for those not at EXP, but they are on the paid version. Why don't we go down kind of the tactical road and give your kind of your one, two, three, best medium, and this is kind of
Hmm.
what I do last on Canva for agents to help them grow and scale their business.
For sure. So I honestly think, to me, this is like one of the super underrated tools that nobody really talks about. But for me, this is why I paid for Canva, because I
Mm,
was like, I need this. So the first one was it's a simple tool. It's called the background remover tool, but so hype because if you want to create, professional headshots for your Instagram profile picture or your YouTube profile picture, you have the ability to remove the background and you can change it to your brand colors so you have yourself popping out, which a lot of agents I see do that, which is awesome. Secondly, the next underrated tool I would say is definitely going to be your brand kit. And
mm,
your brand kit, I'm telling you, if you don't have your brand kit set up, your Canva design life is really going to be a nightmare because when it comes to personal branding, especially it doesn't matter whether it's real estate or not, creating cohesive brand assets for every platform is what is going to create really your brand presence, right? Because oftentimes a brand necessarily isn't so much your fonts or your colors, but it just helps to have all of your fonts, your colors, your logos, all your assets that you are going to be using on a day-to-day basis in one central area. So when you are going to design, let's say, an about me post on Instagram or promote your next listing or any of those kind of graphics, you have all of your brand assets in one area. So you just go in, okay, I pop this color in, pop this font in, and so that you have that cohesive look. And that's really what is going to set you apart from all those other agents and create that nice, crispy looking brand
oh
cohesively.
man, that's great.
Yes, yes. And what else do I have? Ah, yes. So, for me, I'm a very systematic person. I like to be very organized and detailed. And obviously, when you're working in Canva, it's so easy to create like a bajillion designs. And then you
Hmm.
come back later and you're like, where is that design? So, what I recommend to other agents out there is that when you go into Canva, there's this area called projects, and you are able to basically create different folders for different things. Now, for me, I create kind of what I would consider like my pillar folder. So, I have a folder
Okay.
just dedicated for creating like YouTube content, and then another pillar folder for Instagram, and then one for like personal branding and things like that.
Right.
And then obviously in real estate, what I recommend is that you have, let's say, a 20, like a real estate folder, and within that real estate folder, you have it by years. So 2024, 25, 26, and then within that folder, you can create a subfolder for buyers and sellers. So every time you have a new buyer or a new seller, so a new listing, you can create a dedicated folder for that listing and then plop all of your listing photos into that folder so that
Wow.
you stay organized, right? So it's
Wow.
kind of like what I compare it to is similarly to like a Google Drive. So obviously your Google Drive, you want to make sure everything is nicely organized and tucked into folders. And so you want to translate that same kind of SOP into using Canva as well. So don't sleep on that because once you start designing, you go crazy. So
Design
make sure
crazy.
you
Yeah.
kind of you want to hone yourself back in and design strategically so that later on you're not going to go crazy.
Yeah.
That's
So
kind of my top three there.
those are solid three. So honing yourself back in, that's a key nugget because I think a lot of agents get carried away. What would you
Mhm.
say as the Canva Pro? What would you say is like the easiest thing to get carried away on and how to avoid that? For example, like if you're going down the road in Canva, it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole. How would you recommend someone stop going down the rabbit hole and just pick one thing?
Mhm. Honestly, when it comes to Canva, like I said, Canva 2019 versus Canva 2025 is worlds of a difference.
Yeah.
And you can make your designs really as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. But honestly, I say make it simple. And when it comes to, creating, let's say, a just listed post, like you want to make use of good white space and not clutter everything onto the canvas just because you can, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, what I recommend in regards to, let's say, you have a new listing, what I would go ahead and do is create kind of like your own kind of brand templates.
Hmm.
And so I would make, let's say, and I consider them kind of like the listing status of a home. So you can make a template for yourself. So you can have one template for your coming soon, the next for just listed, the next for, under contract, and the next for just sold. And so you want to create your own templated versions of those specific statuses of the home being
Yeah.
listed. And so that way when that home is actually under contract, you know exactly where that template is. You go into Canva, you just plop in your picture, and it's kind of a rinse and repeat process. You want to create your own, again, SOPs inside your Canva so that way you're not having to actually create everything from scratch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you train agents that choose to partner with you at EXP? Do you train them on Canva? Do you have a special course or is it all under YouTube?
Honestly, it is all under YouTube, which is great.
Yeah.
So agents who are at EXP and not
Free,
at
baby.
EXP, it's all there. You
Yeah.
just got to be resourceful, right?
And you
And
guys,
honestly,
everything for Laressa, all her stuff is going to be down in the description. So, first link, you can book a call with her and you can go to her YouTube and just binge watch all that stuff. But
it,
what I'd like to do now is kind of transition on. You mentioned you came to EXP right away. If you can just briefly touch on why, and then switch over to why did you choose to partner with our group, the Wolfpack, and how has that treated you thus far, and what do you see for the future?
Great question. I love this question because when I was studying for my real estate license, I actually had the opportunity to work as an admin staff at a physical brokerage. And at the time, the way things lined up was actually beautiful because the admin person that I was replacing was actually going on maternity leave. So I spent about 3 months with her at this physical office. And I learned the back end of real estate to understand how to put a listing up on the MLS. What are the specific pieces of paperwork that you need for a buyer versus a seller? How do you pay out commissions? How do you calculate commissions and all those admin kind of things? So I saw real estate from that perspective. And I realized like real estate is there is a lot of moving parts to real estate that I think the client doesn't see on that end. And and honestly, it was such a great experience to learn that hands-on experience while also studying for my license. And towards the end of getting my license, the idea was for me to hang my license at this physical brokerage. But you know what? The YouTube algorithm, the universe, God, everything somehow put an EXP video in front of my face on the YouTube
Yeah.
algorithm. Lo and behold, who is it? Mr. Mike Sherrard.
Right.
And I watched it.
The goat.
And something about it, like when you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
Right.
I know you know what I mean, right, Alex?
Oh,
When
totally.
you see it, you can't unsee it. And because I knew what went into a physical brokerage versus what could happen if I hypothetically partner and go into this cloud-based brokerage, I saw both worlds, right? And honestly, the people at this physical office were like, "You are insane. Why would you join this company? This isn't a real thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist. How can you do business like virtually with a virtual
Too
office?"
good to be
But
true.
exactly. But I was like, you know what? Let me be young, dumb, and naive.
Hmm.
Let me try this. And if it doesn't work, then I'll just go back to this other office, right? And you know what? It's been like 5, 6 years. I haven't gone back to this other office because I'm still at EXP.
Boom.
And it's just been such a wild ride, honestly, because I got into real estate obviously to help people buy and sell homes. And my first year was doing that. But alternatively, because with the Wolfpack, we have such an insane value proposition by just helping agents help other families essentially, right?
Right.
And I realized during this my second year into the business that I was like, and that's when I started my second channel for this Canva fiasco. And that's when I realized I was like, I really enjoy helping real estate agents more than helping real estate clients. And honestly, I teetered on that fence for quite some time because I felt kind of almost like ashamed and guilty for wanting to be part of this company but not wanting to sell homes. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of like the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome. Like it's like, can I actually are people actually going to watch my videos, enjoy it, and hopefully maybe potentially partner with me? And it happened,
The
and
answer
it
is
kept
yes.
happening, and it kept happening. So I was like, there's something to this, and just being part of the Wolfpack in this company in general, it has opened an entire world for me. Because honestly, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I'm from a very small town here in Alberta, Canada, and my YouTube channel has more residents than the people that actually live in my town.
That's
So
great.
which is wild to me because I was like,
Yeah.
how can a small town girl have like global impact?
Yeah.
And and through EXP Realty and through the Wolfpack, I do have that global presence per se. Like, the world is really my oyster, as many can say, and it has. And honestly, even our relationship here, like I have no reason to be talking to Alex, who is like way down in the States in Alabama. Like, there's no reason why we should even be connected had it not been for EXP and the Wolfpack in this company, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
is insane. And it's just really been so much fun these last
Right.
couple of years to learn, to implement, to refine, and trying to, and we're still on that path here. We're still figuring it out, but I think this is really just the beginning for all of us. So that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
my long-winded answer there, but I hope you could see my excitement.
I do. Yeah, 100%. And I think, you said something about like you're still learning. And I think that that's the goal is to always keep learning because, for example, AI, Canva, no matter what you look at, real estate, that the NAR deal, like all these things are just always evolving and evolving and evolving. And I think the thing that we get in the community of the Wolfpack is top based knowledge, top tier knowledge, so we can deliver world class service, whether that be to other agents or to clients, right? And so I think ultimately, for everybody watching this, they can go and implement those top three Canva hacks immediately. Go binge watch your channel. Go binge watch my channel. That's all about how you can market on a shoestring budget. That's going to be my goal. And combine those two. And ultimately, if you want to get the help of Laressa or myself, just come over to EXP and it's all free. And then you can also get access to Mike Sherrard and Suman Kim. And I mean, you name it, you got access to everybody. So, Laressa, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy, busy day to deliver some huge golden nuggets to us. And again, everybody, if you want Larissa's info, it's all down below. in the comments. And any parting words?
And I just leave the audience with just one thing.
Yeah.
This is just one thing you gotta know, okay? EXP is where it's at, but if you want to be a savage, join the wolf pack. Preferably with
Oh,
Alex and myself.
yeah.
That's all I
You can
gotta
get both of our
say.
helps all for free. Just join the wolf
Yes.
pack. Very easy. Awesome. Thanks, Laressa.
Bye.